Hi, Candace McCool here. Thank you so much for joining me today because I have a very special guest. He is my See You Later Leaner coach, Adam Atkinson, and we finally got to meet in person.
Finally.
And so I am so excited for you to learn about him, learn about his coaching team, and what sets him apart from all the other coaches. So stay tuned. So, Adam, tell me a little bit about how you got started in this industry and became a coach.
Yeah, so I got started back in 2002 in my own personal journey as just bettering my health. I had mono in college, and it didn't allow me to return my next quarter. So I basically was sidelined, and I'm sitting at home and thinking, I was in the worst shape of my life. I was so sick. I was overweight in college, and mono kind of was a little bit of a gift where, like, I lost a ton of weight, but you can lose weight and look bad too. And that was kind of the point. And I ended up saying, you know what? I used to run competitively, but I hate doing it by myself. So what else can I do to stay in shape? So I started lifting after seeing my dad, lift for many years. And so I went into the basement, started my own journey. And then in 2002, the YMCA hired me and sent me through a certification process. And then I continued down the road from there. And before I knew it, the next thing I know, I had a competitor reach out to me in about 2009, I think it was. And she saw all the weight loss transformations I had had. I was mainly coaching power lifters at that time, funny enough. And she said, do you think you could diet me down for a bodybuilding contest? And I thought, well, I've never done that before, so I just want to be straight up with you. And I said, I can try to learn. Mm-hmm. And so thank you, Aaron Diamond, for letting me be, letting you be one of my first clients I had ever had for a show. I'd had one other before, but Erin really did well. She won her first contest, and then essentially I really fell in love with the sport after that. I really liked the subjectivity of bodybuilding, where powerlifting, a lift is a lift is a lift for the most part. So I really do like the element of surprise in the sport.
Absolutely. So what I really enjoy about your coaching style is you like to follow macros.
Yes.
So tell me, what made you decide to give your athletes macros to follow versus a set eating plan?
Yeah, I've actually done both. So I do have clients who, love meal plans, but, it's really a race of tortoise and the hare in the sport. And I always say this is a sport of years and decades. And if you can adhere to something longer, you're likely going to do better in the sport. So that's really where macros rule for me. Now, there's a whole bunch of other things where certain people can't eat certain things. And we come across those things. And when I say things like that, people think, oh, well, I'll eat this and get fat. It's not really that. It's people have allergies or digestive issues. So that's why people can't consume certain things. But the truth is you can have pizza and still be lean. It's just the quantity of the food that really matters.
Okay. Another thing that really drew me to you is the fact that you really focus on the health of the athlete first, and so you draw lab work. Tell me a little bit more in detail about why that is so important.
Yeah, one of the big reasons why we do that, especially with women, they can get a lot of hormonal suppression during dieting. This is actually a beautiful thing. This is how we made it through the Ice Age and teepees and campfires. But it protects women from being able to get pregnant when there is a shortage of food, because you would die, the baby would die. So evolutionary, we have to have these hormonal changes, or else we wouldn't be alive today. So it's important to help people fix those, because people don't realize, how different it is per person. Someone might have to gain 10 pounds of body fat to get their hormones back in check. Some people may need to gain 20 or 30. It really depends on the genetics of the person. So that lab work really gives me an inside view. Also helps me with nutrient deficiencies, see if the thyroid's functioning optimally. Cholesterol panel. I had a guy who came to me who had really bad cholesterol, and I recommended some extra tests for him, and we actually found that he actually has a really bad lipid profile, and he was a horrible candidate for heart disease. So he actually thinks it saved his life because how much deeper I dug with him and some of the tests I had him get with his doctor. And his doctor was like, I'm so glad you sent him in because, you know, he wasn't doing his due diligence on going. And, you know, I think a lot of us, because we lift weights and we train, we just assume we're healthy. And that's not always the case. Yes, we are doing this for our health, but competing isn't necessarily the healthiest thing in the world when you're getting to those really low body fat levels. So it's just a really good due diligence as a coach to do that. And this is what me and all the coaches on See You Later Leaner focus on. So that's what really separates us from the rest. We actually have a medical director on staff as well. We're licensed to do diets, and a lot of coaches aren't actually. So that makes a big difference with if you're qualified to do what you're doing or not.
Absolutely. I even remember when I got my blood drawn and I went to a bioidentical hormone replacement therapist, and I sent you all of those labs, and it was so beneficial because, that's where I found out that my adrenal glands were through the roof and my cortisol levels were through the roof. And so you actually scaled back on my rate of perceived exertion on all of my lifts until I could get my adrenal glands back under check and take supplements to help that, and then I could go forward from there.
And that's what really made you have a successful prep. And a lot of people wonder, because your transformation photo was really phenomenal, people wonder, how did you do that so fast? And could we have gotten here without? Probably. But would it have been as optimal? Probably not, right? So, we never have a twin to test and see, well, let's do this without blood work and so on with. But you made a really fast transformation, and that's because your body was working with you, not against you.
Yeah.
So
I just find that you looking at the whole entire athlete as a whole instead of just targeting one aspect, I think that's what sets you apart from all the other coaches out there. And one of the things that we do together is once a week I send you my check-in photos.
Yeah.
So I kind of wanted to take just a moment and go over me going over one of my posing sessions.
Oh, absolutely.
And I want to pick your brain a little bit and see what's going on in there and what you're actually looking at and how you want to make changes going forward.
And this was midday?
This was midday today.
And so like 2 meals in roughly?
I only had, I had my Thrive Shake, and then I had my breakfast, which was chicken, sweet potatoes, and 2 boiled eggs. I'd had about 30 to 40 ounces of water by this time.
Okay. We had kind of talked about keeping water a little lower for you, too, because you felt a little bloated last show day. You're somebody who I can pull back on hydration a bit because you're fitting the criteria. You're going to be like that 2% that I'm like, you know what, we can probably keep water a little lower. Not that I'm worried you're going to gain body fat or look like you have the illusion of body fat, but just more so, I don't want that muscle tissue so hydrated that your shoulders are much bigger. Now, however, we know glute tightness is something that we need to stay locked in on. And if that starts deviating away, you look really tight here. Your glutes are, this is probably the best set I've seen. I'm not sure if it's because it was taken from the camera versus your normal phone camera, but there's definitely a good difference here. So we want to make sure we have enough water to keep the water in that muscle tissue to make those glutes full. Once we're there, we probably need to pull back just so this doesn't get any more pronounced.
And I did have a delt workout this morning.
Okay, so that makes sense. So we might, I was wondering because I was like, man, your delts just look a little bit bigger here than what I'm used to.
Yes.
So
So Jennifer and I got together, one of your teammates, and so we got together and she worked arms and I worked delts this morning and then did some cardio together.
one thing I really like, and if James rolls that back just a little bit, you can really see when you said on that glute that line is just completed from the hip down into the glute. And that's a really good sign that somebody's lean enough to be on the national stage. And then if you go forward, you're going to see that line even completed when you hit the back pose. You just, honestly, symmetrically here, you really look perfect.
And that's what they're looking for, is that X frame,
And
being
that
balanced.
being tight enough in the glutes, but not too tight. Now, here's where it gets tricky is because some girls are going to come in harder than this. And if, you have 20 girls that come in super, super tight, which isn't supposed to be the criteria, it sometimes gets hard to take your eye. It can almost make you look softer because some of the girls are so hard. But I really love everything here. You have a tendency to get internally bloated, which kind of makes your midsection look wider. If you rewind to her front pose, you'll just see how flat her stomach is when she hits that first pose. And that's one thing I'm really going to watch closely with you because you're susceptible to that. A lot of people don't understand that the food you eat on show day is more about the act of keeping hunger at bay. Nothing we eat on show day is going to make you look better from a carb, protein, or fat perspective right then. It's usually the meals the night before. So we're keeping hunger at bay. Our big drivers are going to be sodium and water on show day to make sure we have full enough muscles and we're directing that water into the muscle tissue. So I really think that we could probably go in to show day with 2 meals only, just like we were here.
Okay.
I think also you're probably going to compete pretty late in the day. So I think that's going to be feeling like you're fasting a little bit more than usual. So I feel like we're going in with a really good strategy here. Seeing this video where you look perfect will probably pretty much mimic what you did today for this video.
Okay.
But we'll test tomorrow because we have Friday to give you a second look. You've got a little bit higher carbs coming in today at 180, I believe, coming from 150 yesterday. So we're going to watch you close to make sure you're not getting too full at night because we want that tightness in the morning. And we do want fullness at night. If we're not full at night, we're dissipating into being back flat again. So really, I would say you're peaked. Now it's just fine-tuning and locking in, which is great to be peaked a day or two before the show because now it's just fine-tuning versus trying to see something we haven't seen yet.
That is so awesome and so interesting. I love seeing you watch that and what your thought process is.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
It changes the game, and also to have a coach that explains it to you versus just X, Y, and Z, we're doing this, this, and this, and that's the end of the game. And, you do have to be lean enough to peak, and that's something that a lot of people forget. So if you're not lean enough before, you can make all the sodium and water manipulations in the world and it's not going to help you. So you really want that body fat level down. I almost describe this as if you're tracing a photo, that first sheet of paper is body fat. So I would say we just have one thin sheet of paper over your body, and that gives me a great artwork to draw on. But if you start adding multiple sheets, I can't see what I'm doing. And
Gotcha.
I'm a horrible drawer, so you don't want that many sheets of paper.
Well, Adam, thank you so much for joining me and sharing your
Absolutely.
expertise with us. Is there anything you wanted to add?
I don't think so. I'm just so excited about getting you on stage. I'm excited about us being able to experience this together. Like, you're one of those clients that the team has really gotten to know well, and everyone has that opportunity. You're just so open with sharing that I want everyone to know, like, feel free to share as much as Candace does. I'll do as many videos with people as they want. I'll share content that they make, and that's why so many people from the team have fallen in love with you, because they love what you're sharing, and that's how you've became so noticed. You're actually one of my newer clients, and I feel like the whole team has been sending me messages that you're looking great, and everyone's really excited for you.
That's awesome. Thank you so much for sharing that. You guys, thanks so much for joining us today. If you have any questions, you can contact Adam Atkinson at See You Later Leaner on Instagram. Like, subscribe, and ring the bell if you feel like we've brought some value to you.